Good morning and welcome to today's installment of the 30 Things video tag. Today's topic is to talk a little bit about 10 people who have greatly influenced your life. Off the first person on my list is really two, and it's my parents. And the reason why I put them together is because I don't think that there really is one without the other. My mom has been a really big influence on my emotional maturity because she and I, as I'm coming up with these issues in my emotional development, and I'll talk to her about it, she's really been a very good support system for me. And I think she's probably the best feminine example that I've ever had in my whole entire life, and the only woman who's ever really influenced my personality in a positive way, in my opinion. And so I have a lot of respect for my mom. She's really taught me how to be a very strong person and caring and empathetic and very loving. And she's also been the one who's supported my decisions and who's helped really allow me to shape myself by letting me be sort of a free spirit, I suppose one could say. My dad's really been a big influence on me because he's really been a big influence on my personality, I guess. He's really helped shape my love of talking and of reading. And I know my mom read to my brother and me when we were kids, but what I really have very strong memories of is my dad reading us novels, um, late in the evening as we were getting ready for going to bed. And he introduced us to like Harry Potter and oh my God, we read so many books. I can't even. That was probably the biggest series that we went through, but he read to us all the way up until probably the year that I left for Germany. So that was always something very special. And he's really taught me how to be a good debater and just basically be interested in pursuing education, I guess. Like, he's just always learning, and he's always taught us that it's not about the grade that you get, it's about what you got out of what you've done. A lot of the philosophies about life that I believe in come from my dad, as from my mom as well. Hers are mostly more in like love. I think that her opinions have really influenced me. But my dad's life philosophies really influenced me. I think he's very inspiring, and I aspire to be like my dad when I grow up, when I'm an adult. So that's how my parents have had a big influence on me. The second person that I want to talk about is one of my oldest friends, which is Allie. And I have to say that my influence from Allie has been sort of up and down over the years. I think that overall it's been really good influence. She's was the first really creative, cool person that I ever met. She's my first friend. I was in the second grade and I met her and she was just so cool. You know what I'm saying? Like cool in that sort of non normal way. She would write stories about, they were little plays about being a wolf. I think she was a wolf. And I don't know, I just really thought she was the coolest thing. But I have to say that over the years, it's sort of become almost like a competition, I guess. I don't know if she sees it that way, and I love her to pieces, and her family is my family. They're my extended family, but I have to say that I always considered it sort of like keeping up with the Joneses. Like, whatever they were doing, it was what I wanted to do, and whenever she would get into something, I wanted to be just like her, and so I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's certainly taken me over a roller coaster of experimenting with whatever she was into at the time. The third person that I want to talk about was not a good influence at all. Her name was Lacey, and she was a friend of mine, starting in about the fourth grade until about the sixth grade. And she really was the reason why I developed very low self esteem throughout middle school and part of high school. Because she would always make fun of me, like, no matter what we did. She would always say, like, that's not how you do that, or shorty, or just like little things. Like I remember one time, and I'll never forget this. It was picture day, and I wore this dress that I was really proud of. And then I got there, and nobody else was dressed up like that, and she was. And then she saw me, and she was like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to look like an idiot all by myself." And that's exactly how she was. And it was really damaging to little 12-year-old me. Like, no. But she was a really horrible influence on my self-esteem for the next couple of years. Mm. The fourth person I want to talk about, I met, I really only knew for one good summer, which was the summer between 8th and ninth grade. His name was Chris. He was the coolest dude I have ever met. And he was very, I guess you would say, sort of punkish, and he had the coolest hair. It was like peroxide blonde with like streaks of like purple and blue in it. And he had on these plaid, like purple plaid shorts, and he would wear like multicolored socks pulled up with them, and you know the kind of guy I'm talking about. And he was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen, ever. I was so impressed. And he was happy. Like, he didn't mind everybody staring at him, and he didn't mind the attention that he got from that. And he was just a happy, confident, smart person. And for the first time in my life, I was seeing an example of somebody who got laughed at and got pointed at and who didn't care, and who, by not caring, got the respect of all the people who were pointing at him. And so he was popular. And I just thought, my God, that's such a better way to live. What have I been doing? And he was the first really, really positive influence on my self development and my development of my self esteem since Lacey had shot it. Although, granted, and I'll give her this, it wasn't completely her fault because I had always been a little bit fragile because I was always made fun of, but she was really the breaking point for me. But he started the healing process for me because I just thought, you know what? There's two ways I can do this. I'm never going to satisfy everybody. So I can either be upset and hurt by all the people who make fun of me, who are going to make fun of me regardless, or I can do what I'd like to do and not worry about it. I'm going to talk about the singer from Tokyo Hotel, Bill Kaulitz. Before I learned about the band Tokyo Hotel, as I said, I was still kind of still trying to figure out how to be a happy person and find the balance between doing what I wanted to do and just doing the extreme things to sort of as a protection, because I thought if I wear all black and I dye my hair and I do all this sort of unusual stuff, then I'm controlling what people are pointing and laughing at me about. And it was just a form of protection. I wasn't really exactly who I was, or it wasn't making me happy. And then I learned about the band Tokyo Hotel and Bill. And the more I watched their interviews and the more I just saw how articulate he was and the way he dressed and the way he did his makeup and his nails, and it didn't seem like, and it doesn't seem like it came from a place where he was looking to get attention just by doing these extreme things. It really seemed to come out of him and really be who he was. And for him to say that and be successful and be a big celebrity and be confident, even though he'd had troubles from doing this growing up, I just was absolutely wowed by him. And I wanted to be like him in spirit. And see, that was the difference. I wanted to be Chris. I wanted to be him so badly, but I didn't want to be Bill. I just wanted to personify the things that he was saying were important to be as a person, which was to be confident and to not worry about other people. Don't worry about them talking about you, period. Just do you and be happy with that. When you look in the mirror, you should be happy with yourself and not worry whether people are going to like it or not like it, or if they're going to point, whether you want them to point or not. I mean, and he said he liked the attention, granted, which I think is fine. Everybody does. But that wasn't what his purpose was. His purpose was just to show that you don't have to be cookie cutter just because. Just do you. And whatever makes you happy, experiment and just go out there and really put yourself out there and then just see what happens, and everything else will fall into place. But that you'll never be happy if you're trying to be somebody else. The next person that I want to talk about is Austin. Now, Austin, this was after I'd already discovered Tokyo Hotel and I'd already met Chris, but Austin is the most crazy, wild person I've ever met. And he's exactly how I would be if I was a boy. I would be gay, and I would be wild and crazy and funny just like him. I know it. And he really represents to me that side of my personality. And I'm so grateful to have gotten to know him because I think he really taught me the importance of being spontaneous and being a little bit crazy. And he gives me such great stories to talk about because of the things that he does. So I suppose one could say I live a little bit vicariously through him, but I don't think that's bad. And I absolutely adore him so much. I really feel like he's part of me, and I love him. The next person I want to talk about is the writer Oscar Wilde, who I think, in my opinion, should be best known for his work Dorian Gray, which is his only novel. Now, the novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, is my favorite book, and the reason why is because it really changed the way that I look at how people view beauty and how people value youth, because it really teaches you that that can really be your downfall if you make that your main goal in your life. The epigrams that it has really, they're really very sharp, and they really show you a side of your soul that you might not want to see. I didn't want to see it, but now that I have seen it, it gives me something to work on over the course of my life, so I'm really grateful for that as well. The next people I want to talk about are my mates at school. Deshawn, Isaac, Aaron, Erickson, and Blake. They were the first people that really made me feel comfortable. And I mean, granted that I have all my other friends that I mentioned already, but these guys were my first like group of, mates. And like we hung out in the cafeteria. They really embraced the fact that I was one of them. They never treated me like the girl. I mean, they would rib me about it sometimes being the girl in the group, but they never treated me like one, for which I was very, very grateful because I'm not a girl, not as such. Anyway. So I that really made me feel good, and it really helped me embrace my that side of me. So they were really very influential for me about that. Next, I want to talk about one of my other mates, DeAndre. But I'm saying he's a little bit separate because his influence on me was a little bit different. He's a person who has really helped. He's been a very big support system for me, and he was showing me how you don't have to be a parent or a lover exactly to have unconditional support for somebody. And he's a person who's been there for me at points where I really, really needed it. And so he's influenced me by helping me not completely fall apart when things have been bad. And so I'll always be grateful to him for being there for me when I've needed him. The last person I want to talk about, and the person you've been watching this whole video to hear about, is my boyfriend, Zasha. When I met Zasha, I was more confident probably than I had ever been in my life up until that point, but I had never known, I had never felt pretty before. And so I think that my Zasha's biggest influence on me has been making me feel beautiful and like somebody who's worthy of him. And when I first saw him in my class that year, of course, he was the most gorgeous boy ever. And I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would be able to get to know him and be his friend and then be his girlfriend. And he actually was the one who initiated that, which took me completely aback. I wasn't expecting that at all. And so Zasha really helps me feel beautiful. And I think that's something that everybody should experience. I don't think that is shallow whatsoever. I think everybody should feel like they're beautiful. And sometimes you need a boost from other people. Like you can be as confident as you want. And now I am, and I wouldn't need him to tell me that. But at the time, I was 16 years old and I wasn't quite that confident yet as to be the one to say, like, to be comfortable. I wasn't comfortable with myself yet. And he helped me become comfortable with the way that I look and has also, of course, helped me get back in shape and well, encouraged me. He hasn't actually helped me because I don't need anybody's help. But he definitely has helped shape my physical confidence. This finally concludes my video. Dang, that's really, really long. Sorry. And I love you, and I'll see you soon.